Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Andy and Rem Show. However, you may notice that it's not the usual musical intro. That's because Mr. Remington seems to be running late. We have it on good authority. He is going to be here. We just don't know exactly when. So what we've actually got, though, to make up for that disaster and disappointment, we've actually got a live telephone link-up via the miracle of Remington's cousin, Crabbington, to find out exactly what's going on.
Rem? Is that you, Rem? I can barely hear you. You have to speak up, Rem. You have to speak up. Are those police sirens? Are those... What? Are you drunk? Are you intoxicated, Rem? We had an intervention last week. Yeah, that was my intervention. I forgot that. But what? No, don't chase the cyclist. No, you're not sure if it's a girl. Just because it has long hair, don't stop chasing it. Telling you, there's more police sirens. Are they beating you? Rem, are they beating you? Rem, he has hung up. I don't know what happened. He might be on his way.
Oh dear.
I think he's on his way. I will go back to my couch now.
Well, to make up for the delayed Remington appearance, not only has his cousin Crabbington given us that exclusive link up, we also have Crabbington's handler and manager. Of course, we have Dreddy. Hello.
Yes. Hi, I'm here.
So this is going to be a riveting episode as the clock ticks down for that moment when Remington drunkenly appears in the hangout using the wrong account, possibly naked. Possibly at least in some state of undress, I'm going to predict.
Yes, it's very possible. Just in a morning robe, nothing else.
Chasing cyclists down the street. Mickey Genver is suggesting that possibly he's chasing Skeleton Flower. He does have those luscious, long, flowing locks, although I think the location may rule that one out.
Maybe. I don't know where Rem could end up when he gets drunk at a soccer game. So
yeah, that is possible, actually. Because, of course, Mr. Remington's beloved Leicester did just win a very important game a few minutes ago, and he was in attendance. So he'll be on his way to the studio right now. Yeah. So let's see who we've got in the audience tonight. Packed house, as always. We have Andrew Wade, Bazooka J Rambo, Demon_Lizard_from_outer_space, Dino Tine Edition, Dreaming Cyborg, Drunken Deer. So maybe Mr. Remington can provide some drunken company for the deer at some point. We have Fluffy Dread, Jones Yarny, Kai Baker, Mickey Genver, Rhino of Pleasure, Ruhark, and Skeleton Flower. And there's more people popping up every second or so. There's Stu Gibson, in fact, as well. Well then, it's not been the most active week, most active couple of weeks for Age of Sigmar releases. But I suppose the one thing we can do quite safely without Mr. Rem, because it's the part of the show he loves the most, is look at the GW website. So here we go. Let's have a look what they've got in the Age of Sigmar section this week.
A new 40k boxed game. Oh.
Ooh. Well, you can buy both copies, both different versions of the Silver Tower and all extra hero cards for only £200. It's so weird that the Games Workshop website actually thinks I'm from the UK right now. Usually it puts me in like Denmark or Sweden the first time I log in.
Yeah, same for me for some reason.
I get really confused by the prices for a few minutes, but not today.
I mean, the Silver Tower is a good deal, even though I don't think there's any like savings in it, but in general it is a very good deal, if just for the miniatures. So.
There's lots of these Stormcast deals as well that probably save you no money at all, but save you a click, I would imagine.
Yes.
So let's have a look at the Shadows over Hammer haul, shall we? Because I don't think there's any new models in here whatsoever.
Nope.
But some of it does look quite tasty. If you imagine all these heroes are going to be in the vicinity of about £15 each, I would think.
At least.
Yeah, so you've got your nice Lord Castellant there with his Gryph-hound. And apparently the Gryph-hound from the Silver Tower is smaller than all the other Gryph-hounds. Is that right?
I don't know. I have never seen a comparison. I mean, the base size looks the same.
I think it's actually on a smaller base. Someone was doing a comparison on one of the Facebook groups recently.
But the smaller base would have been 25, I guess, and that would be really small.
I'm not sure if this one is smaller. I think it's the one from the Silver Tower. This is the regular-sized Gryphound, which
I
of
see.
course comes with the Lord Castellan. I think it's the other one that's the small one. If anyone can confirm that, if anyone has laid their hands upon a variety of Gryphounds, then let us know. You've got an A-elf here, obviously.
Just kind of falling forward, stumbling over a rock.
Tripped over something while casting a spell out of his hand. Or that could be like he's been blowing his nose into a tissue, and then as he's tripping, it's all like flowing out. It's about to burst when he hits the ground, and it's going to be really messy and horrible.
The magic snot. He looks a bit samurai-y.
Yeah, this guy, looking very mysterious, of course, also an A-elf, as you can tell by the pointy ears.
Yes, he's wearing a lower jaw, so a lower jaw of some kind of fish, I guess.
And a peg leg as well.
Yes.
Well, kind of a peg leg. It's like a sword leg.
Peg blades.
It's like something else of a film. It looks really impractical for actually walking.
He would just sink into like every ground that isn't just stone or concrete.
You would have to hop around on one leg, really, wouldn't you? It's the kind of peg leg you would have so that before you're in the fight, it would be a regular wooden leg, and then you like whoosh, unsheathe the sword leg and start fighting with it. I'm imagining that for the next Star Wars film, to get an extra lightsaber in there. So we've already had the double-ended lightsaber. We had the lightsaber with the handle made out of lightsaberiness, and now I'm thinking the leg lightsaber attachment.
The leg saber.
Yeah. We've got the official cogsmith here as well.
Very solid. With this little oven on his back.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? What's that powering, do you think?
He just needs to stay warm, I guess. He just needs to like have, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not like plugged into his axe or his gun, is it?
Maybe it's so the other dwarves can see the smoke coming out of the top and like see where he is at any point in time. I don't know. Maybe
he's got some tools that it repairs, or maybe his like the gear on his helmet like spins like a circular saw blade and just goes right through his head.
Yeah, it could be. It's very weird.
There could be all kind of spinny action. Dr. V says that is part of the rumoured next release set, the update to Dark Elf faction, release of Pirate-ish group, or so I am told. Well, A-elves are one of the things we're going to be talking about in a little while. The rumours are running rampant that A-elves might have jumped ahead of Duardin in the release lineup. So we'll get to that. But then, of course, you've got this guy as well.
Yeah, the boring old sorcerer. I'm not a fan of that model. He looks too plain for my taste. Some people like it, and I'm just like, he looks too plain.
You know what the problem is? He doesn't have enough eyeballs on his head.
Yes, and not enough skulls. He's very much lacking in the skull department.
Yeah, is there a single skull anyway? Have we seen any skulls so far on any of these things? I don't remember seeing any skulls yet on any of these guys.
Nah, not on the good guys.
Okay, how about this guy? He's got to have some skulls on him.
Lots of bells.
Yeah, he's got bells galore, but has he got a skull?
The others might. I know there are skulls in the actual sprue because I've assembled 2 units of Blight Kings and painted them so far. So there is skulls in there somehow, but somewhere.
No skulls on him.
Oh, just the Birdman.
Of course, then there's tiles. Now, are these all different tiles, or are these the same as the Silver Tower?
They are different tiles from the Silver Tower. And also apparently better for, I don't know, they're somehow better. I personally like them better because they look like an actual dungeon. Like, I'm big into dungeon crawlers, and these tiles invoke more in my mind than the weird, clean, Zinchi Silver Tower tiles. Like, I'm not a big fan of those, but I like these. The new ones are really cool.
Yeah, they look dirty, gritty. The first thing I saw was this like flame going around here, and I thought, oh god, it's the really bright, kind of crazy, over-the-top Age of Sigmarified dungeon tiles. But then when you see the others, they are actually very dark, aren't they? It's not like these magical chambers, every single one.
Yes, it's back down into the dirt with shadows over Hammerhall.
Yeah, you've got a few crazier-looking ones with kind of magical veins running through, and then you've also got just like somebody's kitchen as well.
Yeah, and some random books lying around, and it could just like, yeah. I liked it about the old Hero Quest too. It had so many details, like some discarded old boot in a corner, and there were actually 2d6 hidden somewhere on the game board in the old Hero Quest.
We have a skull there.
Oh, yeah, skull confirmed.
Yep, and of course that guy with the dinner bell in his belly.
Yes,
which saves a lot of time.
I think I assembled him that way too.
And then that guy with the crazy little nurgling coming out of his belly, which is always hilarious.
Yes, so belly nurgling.
Anytime you have nurglings hanging out of body parts of other creatures, it's always a recipe for comedy
The
gold.
Quattro nurgling. The open your mind nurgling.
Open your mind. There's the heroes, of course. And
With
all
fate
cards.
wheel, everything.
Yes, the Wheel of Fate and all your tokens and dice and so on.
I wish they had put like 3D doors in it. That's my only beef I have right now. I love the dungeon tiles. Heroes look cool. Monsters are okay. Just no 3D doors and 3D furniture.
In Silver Tower, it wasn't so big of a deal because the whole idea was that you were kind of teleporting from room to room, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's this magic, weird, clean labyrinth, but a gritty old dungeon should have some like old moldy bookshelves and the old orc cooking table or something like that.
Yeah, anyone that has furniture from other dungeon crawly games will be able to use those. Anyone who's got like Hero Quest or Dungeon Saga, I've got tons of furniture from that, which I still haven't played yet.
Yeah, I would totally add that and make my own rules for the furniture.
By the way, I had an update from Mr. Remington.
Oh.
He sent me a text saying that he's currently stuck in traffic and it was taking him a long time to get away from the stadium.
As I can imagine. For being arrested.
Yeah, so he claims that he's stuck in traffic, which would suggest that he's driving, which we know to be false because Crabbington in the exclusive telephone link-up told us that he was actually intoxicated and walking down the street. So he could have actually been arrested, and that's his cover story.
Yes.
So we're gonna just assume that he'll appear just at the end of the show tonight. So we won't budget for him actually showing up.
Indeed.
Okay, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. So Warscroll cards, Stormcast Eternals. People were not pleased with these at all. So you can see the way they're oriented here. Half the card is empty.
They are half empty. That's weird. They they printed them the wrong way around. Like they're meant to be. Yeah, it's weird.
And the text is so small that people have claimed that they can't read it.
I would have problems.
Really close up. Even
if the cards were as big as they are on my giant screen right now, I would have problems reading them. So.
Some of the other stuff here looks fairly useful. Some of these tokens, if you don't already have tokens, that are useful.
Until someone spills their drink over your whatever setup table.
And all the moisture gets absorbed into the card.
Yeah.
And warps them horribly.
It's instantly wobbly.
But yeah, if anyone actually likes these cards and thinks that it's worth spending the £15 on tiny text versions rather than just printing them out yourself at the size you want, then let me know.
Someone just said, apparently the empty space is for your notes. Okay. I don't see anyone writing on their cards. Maybe with like a wipe away marker after you put them in like a plastic foil or something. But...
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like something they would do. If they were leaving a space for notes, you would think they would just have a little box right at the bottom that just said notes on it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
So there's not much else to look at on the GW website right now. So let's stop the old screen share. And I suppose the next topic, before we go on to any of the juicier stuff like what the hell is that, and looking at people's painted miniatures, the main topic is, of course, Duardin, who have been rumoured for a very long time. We've done multiple episodes on why aren't the Duardin here yet, and when are the Duardin coming, and why aren't the Duardin moving faster? Because they only have tiny legs. That's the real reason for that. But it seems that in the race of the tortoise and the hare, the Duardin was in fact the hare, because the rumours of the Duardin's impending arrival, it's been with us for a really long time. And then, obviously, being so far ahead, they decided to just take a nap under the tree. And then the elf tortoise has been creeping up all this time, and it could be reaching the finish line. So if we end up with elves first, that is going to be a huge demoralizing blow to the Duardin enthusiasts around the world, in particular me. But what do you think?
That's weird. Maybe they will actually merge the two races, just like really bearded elves. Like they just all have massive beards and run around with hammers, but they're elves, and ride like elven steeds.
The Dway elves.
The dwarves. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. It's a big mystery, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think. It's very confusing.
Which one do you want to see first, though? As someone who doesn't really play either race majorly.
Just because I already have a small dwarf army, I would say dwarfs. Even though it wouldn't be good for my wallet, I guess, but I would prefer dwarfs. I've never been too big into elves, even though I like dark elves a bit. I have been tempted, but dwarfs would be neater.
I agree. I think the people want dwarves. It's been proven that dwarves sell at least 10 times the amount of elves. So, yeah, if anyone has any opinions on this, drop them in the chat and we'll come to those in a minute. Rhino of Pleasure says elves with big hammers.
Yes, and beards, though. I would accept dwarves.
I don't think an elf could actually carry a big hammer because they're like weedy little arms, haven't they?
Maybe they need 2 for 1 hammer.
Maybe. 2 elves carrying 1 hammer, that could be a thing. Like hammer teams.
Yeah.
Green Stuff Games is here, but late for the show, and apologises for that, but I don't know if we're going to accept that apology, because the show was half an hour later than usual, so I don't think there are any excuses. Crabbington made it on time.
It's true, even Crabbington. I mean, he lives on my couch, so...
Although Crabbington is an international playboy lobster.
Yes, at least.
So the fact that he was able to get himself in a good enough state of sobriety to be on the show at last minute notice is impressive, isn't it? Yeah. Unless you're just completely out of Agrax Earthshade.
Demon Lizard from Outer Space asked, Dreddy, why is the shirt not pinked? Because it's obviously a black metal shirt. I would never wear a pink black metal shirt. That would be silly. That's your answer.
Mark Harvey says, where is your evidence base, Mr. Andy of Duardin outselling A-Elves? Well, it's complicated, you see. I could whip out all these intricate spreadsheets and pie charts and all these different kind of graphs with numbers and dots all over them, but I don't think our audience would appreciate that. I think you're just going to have to take my word for it, 100%.
Yes.
The Duardin are guaranteed to outsell any A-Elf race that comes out. A couple of people have commented on your hat tonight.
Does that?
Yes, I think... Who was it? It may have been John Brendan Markham actually said something about your hat a minute ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, John Brendan Markham he's highly invested in my hat, literally.
That is quite an investment in just a hat.
It is. Today it's just a coincidence that I'm wearing it. I have to wear hats right now because my hair looks horrible. It's like just growing out, so I can re-dread everything to have more dreadlocks. And so I'm wearing hats all the time.
Drunken Deer says, start collecting Fireslayer needs to be released. Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's true. I would like, now that I have an Order army, it's horrible. I'm so tempted to just be like, oh, there's so many neat things in the Grand Alliance Order. Look at those Fireslayers, those are cool. And it's horrible. I have to really, really control myself.
I would be seriously tempted if it did pop up, start collecting Fireslayers box. I would be very, very tempted to jump all over that.
I like the Magma Dross a lot. It's really cool, but I don't think
it is very cool. And speaking of large monsters, if anyone wants to see what progress I'm making on my Star Drake, well, on the actual Drake itself, not very much. You can just see its head poking into shot there, because the weather wasn't exactly ideal for priming this thing outside. So at the moment, that's all I've done. I've done the wings purple, and I bet you can't even see the slight gradient on them in this light. Let's see if having a really bright light right on them helps. I don't know if you can see that it's darker at this end and then gets lighter as it goes up.
You can see it a bit, yeah.
Okay, well, it's going to be more obvious when I've finished as well, because I'm going to use all kinds of washes and stuff. But that's all I've done on the actual beast so far. You can see where I've left those armor plates off on here, because I thought it'd be too annoying to paint the scales behind them. But I have actually attached the wings, because I decided it wasn't going to be too difficult to reach all that stuff under there with the wings there. And as far as the rest of it goes, I've been painting the rider, and he's almost finished. Let's see if we can focus on him. There we go.
There we go.
So he's not got much to do on him. It's only really the gold that needs highlighting.
Very neat. Yeah, you put way more details on your Stormcast than I do.
Yeah, let's have a look. my favourite part is usually the scrolls on these guys. Let's see if it'll focus again.
You need to scare your camera.
Come on, Mr. Camera. There we go.
Yeah.
So he's looking very Stormcasty at the moment. And I've also painted his little seat as well, the saddle, which isn't quite finished yet, but it's getting there. So he's going to be sitting on that. And I've also done the little armor plates for the side of the Star Drake as well. There's one of those. There's a sample. There you go. That's not quite finished yet either. So the reason that I was doing those bits first is because my painting table did actually have other things on it. So the Star Drake wouldn't physically fit on here because I had other things that needed to be finished first. And there's a couple of things that are going to be finished and removed from the table, like these Kings of War trolls that are almost done. So they're going to be disappearing from the table soon, which will leave ample space to start painting this magnificent beast. And what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to dry brush the top with purple, the same way I've done my Dracoths. And then underneath scales, I'm going to paint all that in white and then do a series of purple washes on it. So I think that's going to look quite tasty when it's finished.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. You need a game plan for a big model like that, or else you will just sit in front of it and go nuts and never paint it.
Yes, I did actually seek out advice from numerous people when deciding how to paint this. I think most of the useful advice I got from Amy Snuggs, actually, because she painted a Star Drake. She's also painted a Magma Droth as well. So experience painting those large, scaly beasts is very important. And if you go into it without a plan, if you're me and you go into it without a plan, then it'll just sit there on your table, not being painted for about a year.
Yes, at least.
Which is never good. So what's being worked on currently in the old Dread Cave?
Let's see, I just finished a... Oh, crap. I'm just tipping over my brush soap, which wouldn't be bad, but... Okay. I just finished a bunch of Gryph-hounds, which are in this drawer. And I will just... let's pick...
People know which drawer your Gryph-hounds are in now, so if they ever break into your house and want to steal things, they know where to go for the valuables.
Yes, I can instantly go for the Gryph-hounds. Oh, let's... I have an idea. Let's try this. Put him in this little box here, like this. And then I will hold him up to the camera. Wait, I have to focus the camera on me so I know if it's focused. Oh, did this actually work?
It's almost focused.
It's kind of jumping in and out. It's just base color and wash. I was really lazy with them, to be honest. If I had only one of the Gryph-hounds to paint, I would have added a bit more highlight and everything, but it was 6 Gryph-hounds, and I just need to get my order army done and ready till the 29th. So, yeah, basic Gryph-hounds for now in the Jeff color scheme.
I was going to say they very strongly resemble Jeff, don't they?
Yes, for people who are in the know. And then over here, I have I won't show them all. I guess I can. I just have to pick them up.
By the way, Dr. V says dry brush them. It will help so much.
Yeah, I might at some point. I can still do it. I mean, they're thinly varnished, so it's not that bad. And then I have a lot of Stormcast, 3 Retributors to finish my Retributor unit of 5. Then back here, 5 Liberators, who will be their own unit. And the Knight Vexillor.
The Knight Nerfdilor, as he's now known.
Yeah, but I mean, his points went down.
Yeah, he's still good. He's just not horribly overpowered like he was before.
Yeah, this was quite nuts. I'm a big fan of the model, though, so I'm not mad about painting him, even though he's not as good anymore. And that's what's happening here right now. I also just assembled a warband for Hinterlands, which is an AOS warband system created by a person nicknamed Bottle, and I always forget the real name. I'm sorry. You can download it on the Grand Alliance community page. Just Google Hinterlands AOS and you will instantly find it. And I made a few conversions here. Let's use the old box here. I actually made a pack rat. I have a little Skaven Pestilence warband. We have a pack rat here who's just carrying a lot of stuff around.
Yeah, if you see that guy, you want to go and hit him in the face and see what loot he drops, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I know they still need green stuff and like little straps added to them, so it makes sense that he's having this big bundle of stuff on his back. And
Demon
then
Lizard is very happy that you mentioned Hinterlands, by the way.
yeah, I think it's a good system. We are playing a campaign soon next month, so that's why I also have to get these guys painted. I have a little book carrier guy who's carrying a book. There you go.
An ancient tome.
Yeah.
Probably has some like bedtime stories about filth and disease.
Yeah, that's not focusing. Anyway, there are lots of very characterful, I think, conversions in here. I have a few guys carrying little candles. There's a candle carriers. And I think anything else noteworthy? Maybe the old hook rat.
Yeah, if you've got a hook rat, people will want to see that.
Yes.
Famous from the Vermintide game.
Yes. I was a bit inspired by it. I obviously didn't recreate the hook rat from Vermintide, but I gave it a hook.
It's similar enough.
Yeah, like a little hook. And then it has a shield. Also a Nurgly shield that it looted somewhere. It's like a little, I don't know, a tunnel fighter or something with a long weapon that it can grab people with and drag them into the pile of Skaven that will then rip them apart. Something like that. Hiding behind its shield. And yeah, that's what I have been up to pretty much.
We've had some interesting comments over the last few minutes. Skeleton Flower says, speaking of large monsters, and then he says he's had people use that pickup line before, but it didn't work.
Oh, I thought it was a your mom joke.
It could just as well be one of those.
Could have been.
We'll have to ask Remington if he's ever tried that line on anybody. See, Jones Yarny says, it is annoying trying to paint those scales. You did the right thing. Let's see, who is he talking about there? I suppose he could be talking about my dry brushing scales techniques. See, Mickey Genver has had the large monster line and is not going to say whether it worked or not, and then immediately says, I need green stuff. So she needs green stuff as an immediate follow-up to that. I don't know if we're supposed to read any connection into those two statements or not.
Yes.
And then this is hilarious out of context. Dino Titan Edition says, sounds like my cat. I have no idea what that was referring to. Maybe if you can let us know.
Maybe. The hook rat. I don't know. Probably not.
There's been a lot of people talking about AOS 28.
Yeah, it's I think it's what came from the Inquisitor 28 community, people that played the old Inquisitor in 28mm, and then that community kind of just melted into the Age of Sigmar stuff, and it's something like that. And it's somehow connected with Hinterlands too. There's something going on there.
There have been people that have been begging for us to look into that at some point. So we'll see if Mr. Remington can be bothered reading up on it for the next episode. Speaking of Mr. Remington, we haven't had a further update on him, so I'm going to send him a text now and ask him if there's any progress.
Hi, Stronghold TV, who has just uploaded his official intro for his YouTube channel, which is Stronghold TV, and you should go and subscribe if you are a Destruction player or just like AOS, because I'm pretty sure it will be cool, because I like the Strongholds. You can pay me via PayPal, Strongholds, okay?
Demon Lizard has got a nerd confession, which Mr. Remington would love. It's his favourite part of the show that no one ever responds to. Demon Lizard says he has used the "What's your favourite dinosaur" as a pickup line before, and it didn't work.
Oh.
Well. Okay, now I'm taking a big risk here, folks, knowing the kind of audience we get on this show. But I'm going to ask people to put their best wargaming pickup lines into the comments right now. And we'll read out any that are suitable for air, shall we say.
Yes. Yes.
So don't go too crazy now. Looking at you, Skeleton Flower. If you saw the last Skelevision, actually, he spent about 4 hours talking about the crotch monster.
Yeah, he also got his bits out on camera. I was shocked, to say the least.
Yeah, so if that's the kind of red-hot wargaming action you want, you should check out Skelevision.
Yes.
Which is, of course, on Skeleton Flower's channel.
One word, Skeleton Flower. go subscribe, wait for a show to happen. And join his Facebook group, maybe.
Yes, if you're into joining Facebook groups, then you should click all the various links in the description for this show, certainly, because there are multiple Facebook groups down there. Okay, so I suppose since Mr. Remington still isn't here, what do you think? Do you think we should do What the Hell Is That without him, or do you think we should look at the audience community member pictures without him?
I mean, we still get a chance to get the song for What the Hell Is That? Like, if he should still appear, so I think we should save that.
Okay, we'll save What the Hell Is That for the end. It is a good one as well. So let's have a look at what the community have been painting lately. So first up, this is from Andrew, and this is, of course, the mighty Mr. Vexilor.
Yeah, he looks amazing. I love it.
He's gone for the wavy flag option rather than the totem. Although, if I was playing against the Vexilor, I wouldn't mind which rules you want to use with them, even though each set of rules is supposed to be very specific, one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't care about the WYSIWYG on him at all.
Yeah, you don't have to buy two of them for that purpose. Although I have seen a really good conversion using a Retributor, where they put the end of the totem on the hammerhead.
That's not a bad idea. You could also magnetize it. Would be a bit flimsy, but meh. Why play WYSIWYG if it makes your models horrible and flimsy?
By the way, while we're going through this, we'll read out any interesting Wargaming pickup lines that come in via the chat. And preferably keep them not sci-fi based. Because obviously if you're going for 40k ones, you would have things like, hey, do your pants have the gets hot special rule? So there's that one out the way. So this is a silver and blue colour scheme, which you don't see very often, do you? Normally when people abandon the gold, they also abandon the blue. The blue is normally the first to go with the Stormcast. People often keep the gold but take out the blue, but the reverse is true here. Not much gold at all.
Isn't this an official Stormcast chapter even? I thought they had, like, they have a blue one. I would
imagine it probably is.
If they have, like, silver trims or not on it, it might be. Okay. A very cool model. Wish I had more patience with my Stormcast, but I just paint them like my Space Marines, quick and dirty. And the characters get more love, obviously, but...
Okay, Andrew Wade has the Ultimate Wargaming pickup line. Want to roll some sixes with me? Well, Remington could never use that one.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, this is from Liam, and this is, of course, a mighty Stardrake. My eye is drawn to this kind of area with the blue on the end of the nose, which is very smooth looking with multiple colors in there. Some nice shading going on that particular spot.
Yeah, it looks like the snout is like dipped in metal or something. Like he has like metal skin on it. Which
part of this is your eye drawn to?
When I looked at it, yeah, I pretty much looked at the head first. Like the head of a dragon is normally like the instant eye catcher for me, and then everything else comes later. It is very solid work, I would say. All the highlights look very crisp. Some edge highlighting them on the armor plates.
We've just got word that Remington is actually back, and I'm going to just send him a link right now while we're analysing this model. Okay, sending him a message right now. Okay, so very, very tasty Stardrake. We've had a slightly interesting Wargaming pickup line from Raphael Marge, which is, what do you think about new starter set for AOS?
And then he posted a link, and I don't know how he posted that link because it should be impossible. I guess he deleted the HTTP, etc. So still, it shouldn't be possible. It's weird, but I'm looking at it right now.
We are going to consider that a Wargaming pickup line, though, rather than a discussion topic.
Yes.
So I'm going to say it wouldn't be very effective.
The link can be opened, and it's quite interesting, actually. Thunder and Blood.
Well, maybe we'll look at that when Mr. Remington gets here.
Are those pre-colored plastic miniatures? Okay, yeah, we will look at it later. I will leave it open on my side. interesting though. Thanks for posting it, even though I don't know how you posted this illegal link into the chat.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to open that up as well. It's some breaking news, because normally news breaks like just after we go off the air. So I'm not going to let that happen.
Looks like the box is worn though. No, it doesn't. Or does it? It might be the photo, like the edges look worn. They look like bumped up somehow.
That looks very interesting, actually.
It is pre-colored miniatures, 3D terrain, which I would guess is cardboard. It looks like a tiny box. Oh, you can see fingers there. You have a kind of like scale because you can see like 2 fingers. So it's not too tiny. First, I thought it was like the little quick assembly boxes with like 2 models in it.
Okay, let's have a look at this, because I've got it up on the ready for the screen share here.
Yeah, it's the size of the start collecting boxes, I would say.
So there we go. Let's look at, you say that, but look how many models are in it, potentially. That looks like quite a lot.
Yeah, that looks like pretty much the starter box, the old starter box content, just with 3D terrain. If
you look at the person's hand down there, then it looks slightly smaller than a full-size starter box. It looks about half the size of a starter box. It's like the size of the box that a Star Drake comes in.
Yeah. It's, I mean, they could just have like packed it more compact to make it more, I don't know, more sizable to carry around or something.
And apparently the cardboard terrain comes with it as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
I enjoy that.
So it's a matte, and the miniatures are coloured.
That is a very good step, I would say. First, like giving the people actually, like even the simplest gaming mat that might not even be the right size, I can't tell. But everything is better than playing on your like plain old naked kitchen table with like your coffee mug as terrain. Like this is a giant step up. I love it.
Very interesting. Well, let us know your thoughts on that while we continue to go through some of these other pictures, and we'll get the Remster's thoughts on this in a minute when he manages to get into the show on the correct account, hopefully. So this is from Mickey Genver. And this is, I think you'll agree, quite a magnificent specimen.
Yeah, the wings alone would have driven me to insanity. Like, I know how much work she put into every single part of this model. And it's just nuts.
Is it safe to say that this hasn't just been dry brushed in 2 different colors and then given a wash?
Yeah, very much so. Now she just needs to paint a whole unit of them. Let's say 6 models. You can do that, Mickey, right? Just paint 6 of them so you have a unit.
Yes, I mean, even the eyes on their own probably took more time than half my models in my collection took to paint.
Yeah, she knows a lot of very solid techniques, but she also experiments a lot and makes it work.
Yeah, so there's knowing the techniques, and then there's the time and ability it takes to actually put those into practice over a very long period of time for each model and not make a huge amount of mistakes as you're going along.
Yeah, or experimenting and then going with your mistakes and making them work is also a talent, I would say.
Yeah, that's a very important life lesson, not just painting.
Yeah. It is a very, very meaty Nurgle Fly Rider Blight King. I love it. It's
very,
great.
Very meaty indeed.
10 of 10.
Definitely.
This should be in White Dwarf. If this is not in White Dwarf next month, I will never buy a White Dwarf. Maybe.
Do you buy White Dwarf anyway?
I bought one this month. Actually, my first real White Dwarf in 12 years. I didn't regret it. It was a good White Dwarf. Lots of stuff in it. It's a really thick magazine. It's like double the size of the old White Dwarf. And you can just flip through it, and there's something cool on each page. So even if you're just a flip-through person like me who just like looks at stuff and then, oh, this looks cool, starts reading somewhere, it's cool to just find interesting things and get hooked on them while you're maybe in the bathroom where I read my White Dwarfs.
Stu Gibson says he misses the early days of the Andean Rem show when it was like 2 to 3 hours long. More to talk about in those days, I guess. Yeah, that was when it was still very new on the scene, Age of Sigmar, and there was a lot to sink your teeth into every single week, and we just had wall-to-wall releases non-stop. Oh, and look at that, Mr. Remington is in the chat.
There he is.
So
Let's see.
he's almost here. So let's have a look at a couple more things. This is from Holy Backyard Prophet, which is, of course, his real name. And this is obviously an Ragnarok with spider webbage going on.
Like the Halloween spider webs. I like it.
And at first glance, the actual spider, because it's all they're kind of dark colours and it's rather grim looking and drab, you don't think that there's that much detail going on. But then when you actually look closer at the level of detail on, say, the fangs and the eyes, then you realise there is actually a lot more going on than initially meets the eye. Because the first thing you see is the really bright basing and the really bright goblins, but the spider is actually very impressive on its own.
It's true. It also has like an underbelly with lots of detail on it. Oh, there we go. Remington Steel joins the video call. Hi.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Are you inebriated, Mr. Remington?
Pardon?
Are you inebriated?
Oh, say again.
Did you catch that cyclist?
Oh, so my ears have gone funny because of the 30,000 Leicester City fans all making history next to me.
Is making history, getting drunk and throwing up a lot on each other.
Oh, no, we do it like that. Got the clappers. Hold on. That doesn't work anymore.
That sounds like a BDSM studio right now.
Is that working? It sounded big before.
Well, Remington may have got the clappers, but I will assure everyone that you cannot actually catch that over the internet, so don't worry.
Then I was stuck in traffic. There was like people partying in the streets here. It's crazy.
And we did actually have an exclusive phone link up with you from Crabbington Steel, of course. And it seemed like there were police sirens and you were chasing cyclists around. What was all that about?
I don't know. It might have been the escort to get us in and out of the place. VIP.
With cattle prods. Oh, then he leaves.
Yeah, he's left already.
What am I, some clan moulder beast to be prodded around? I don't think so.
And Mr. Remington, is it true that you've turned up halfway through the show without your instrument in hand?
I can't sing. My voice is shot. I'm going to have to just use the force of personality and looks to get.
And you'll have to at least give us an instrumental at some point, I think.
I do believe it's your turn to sing, Andy. I set the standard last week with a tremendous falsetto that lasted a good 10 seconds. And you said that's nothing compared to...
well, you know what? I'll do the What the Hell Is That theme song, and then you can play us out with something soothing and instrumental. How's that?
Okay.
That sounds fair, doesn't it? So, Mr. Rem, now that you're here, I suppose we should look at some breaking news that just came up a few minutes ago.
Yes, fresh off the presses, like 4 minutes ago.
Let's get the raw Remington thoughts on this.
Oh, wow.
It is seemingly an Age of Sigmar starter box that comes with terrain, a mat, and miniatures that are coloured gold and red.
Yeah, you don't need to paint anymore. Just use your red corn, guys.
And let me guess, I don't need to guess, I've just seen it. It's Sigmarites and Chaos.
Yes, of course. It's Khorne Chaos as well, obviously.
What are they? Are they all like the same sizes and everything?
I don't see why not.
They've just been like sprayed one colour.
Or just moulded in that colour.
Yeah, just pre-coloured plastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
when I was a kid, I used to get these like World War II plastic miniatures, and for about £3, you got about 20 of them in a sack, and you get like a sniper lying down. You get like an American guy like that, and you got Americans and Germans, you know.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of those.
Yeah,
really
pretty much.
Really cheap to make, you know.
I mean, War Machine did it first. Like, they released starter boxes with a battle mat and pre-colored plastic faction miniatures. So GW is just getting inspired by other companies right now. It's a good move, I would say.
Good thing.
For people who just get into the hobby, this is a good starter box because it's not just gray on the table. It's like, oh, I have the golden guys and I have the red guys and I already have the battle mat.
You bring your beautifully painted army to the table and someone just plunks down some
That's what starter players don't do, though. They might just pick this up in a Toys R Us, and they take it home, and then they play red guys versus golden guys, and they already have like a battle mat, so they have like an actual battlefield, and don't have to play on their stupid kitchen table, and they have cardboard terrain, which is great for the beginning. And then they get suckered into buying paints and everything else when they go to gaming clubs, where people scold them for using just like red plastic miniatures and tell them to paint them.
If they pick this up somewhere else and then they're inspired by all the reading material that's undoubtedly inside there and they want to add to their forces, they wander into Games Workshop, see all these beautifully painted miniatures in the cabinet, get assaulted by the staff, and they're going to be hooked, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you think it's like poorer quality stuff? Can you still paint it?
I don't see why it would be any worse. You would think if they're going to go ahead with this, they would make it top quality.
Well, then why wouldn't you buy the... Why would you just buy that one then? You wouldn't buy the old one. Right?
Because these are pre-colored. Imagine like a 12-year-old, never playing Warhammer. Like, I guess like children would like to play with something that's more colorful.
And they're all assembled. Are they assembled then?
I won't think so. I guess it's still the same.
I think they're one-molded things, I do.
Bazooka J. Rambo says the Space Hulk coloured plastic was the same, and they were of good quality.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Dr. V says the Blood Bowl coloured plastic are the same as well.
The question is, do you assemble them? Because I don't think you need to.
I don't think they have the molding technique at this point for these sprues to make them work in like one mold.
So hold on then. It's the starter set re-released with just different coloured miniatures.
Yes.
And cardboard terrain and a mat.
Oh, you
in
get
a
a
smaller
mat. What mat? What's the mat? Let's have a look at the mat. Is it the pizza mat?
It is. You can see it right there.
That's all right. That is. I thought it was going to be like the corn one they brought out, and it looked like someone's ate pizza and was sick everywhere.
Well, someone threw a pizza out of a really high up window from a hotel, and it landed on the pavement.
I quite like that one. It's all right.
But I mean, even the pizza mat would have been better than people just playing like on their naked table.
Yeah, to be honest, I've been a bit harsh. I'd have the pizza mat if someone, I mean, I'm not like Andy. I don't get loads of free stuff thrown at me. So if they're
my entire house, all the carpets have been replaced with free battle mats by this point.
That's why you redid your kitchen. You just like wallpapered all your walls.
Talking of kitchens, I had an Age of Sigmar mammoth battle last week on my kitchen with one of our viewers, a top guy.
Was Kai Baker?
Kai Baker, what a legend, man! He's brilliant, right? He lives in Margate and he was just working in Leicester. Called up Remington Towers, came over. Did
he get through the secretary? All right, weren't you in a meeting at the time?
I gave him all the security codes, so he had all the correct passes and identification documentation. He came into the Remington Tower basement, brought out his Skaven, amazingly painted Skaven as well, and he had like everything. And he said, "What should I do? Should we just plonk everything on the table?" I said, "Well, let's do points." And then it went from 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So we just got all our toys out and had an epic game. And I will say that I'm going to do a battle report and then probably won't put one up. That's what I usually do. And then by saying that, I might actually do it. But I've got all the photos. I need to do it because it's a really good battle. And I brought my my Night Goblins, my Night Goblin army in Squig Horde, backed up with some Savage Oryx. And he had a what's that fleshy rat ogre thing, the big thing?
Hell Pit.
Yeah, he brought the Hell Pit, and it was pretty cool. He brought a big Clan Skyer laser gun and a couple of weapons teams, Storm Vermin, which are unbelievable. And Kai was a master at using them as well. And we had a right laugh. It was probably better than the games I played with you, Andy.
Oh, controversial.
And Kai, I made Kai laugh regularly, which is also nice, which I failed to do with you.
I'd say that's more on you than it is on me. Did you see my battle report, Mr. Remington? Because you would have seen that I took on 2 magnificent Hell Pit abominations. Did you see that?
I saw your fixed battle report. Well, let's do a scenario where Andy gets to kill everything in 2 rounds.
Well, now let's just clarify for a second here. This was actually a randomly drawn scenario. It could have been one that was much more favourable to massed troops. And it tells you that when you're putting together an army for Age of Sigmar, this is what I took away from that game, other than just the crushing the rats into the earth of poor Fluffy Dread and his rat warriors just completely trampled into the earth. I would say when you're putting together an army and you don't know which scenario you're going to be doing, it needs to be a balanced force, because some of the scenarios are reliant on large numbers. Some of them are reliant on having units of a particular size. So if you bring nothing but like 3-man units of big monsters, then there's no way you can score any points in some of the scenarios, because some of them require like 5+ models. Some of them require you to have more models than the opponent within the vicinity of a certain thing to get points. And the ones that require heroes, if you bring a lot of heroes that aren't at all survivable and can easily be one-shotted, then it's not ideal.
Well,
and
did you bring every hero available?
That I had to actually play all 6 of my heroes to get up to the required point level.
Aha.
And that allowed me to take one of the Stormcast Eternals battalions as well, which put a few extra special rules in there, but you do have to actually pay points for that.
Well, see, Andy, what I'm thinking is that I've been put off the capturing objectives in battle reports, because it can be really annoying tactically. Like watching that game, I think the Skaven probably could have been more. They had to charge forward. Do you see what I mean? So they got a couple of objectives at the start, and then it was game over when you just came in with your Dracoth riders. And if those objectives weren't there, then they could have maybe done something a bit more sneaky. But because when you have objectives, you get points per round, maybe it should be who finishes on the objectives in the last round.
There is something to be said for that, but if you're not scoring points throughout the game, it leans towards the armies that are built just with power and killing in mind, rather than playing all the way through the game, if you know what I mean. So you can be outmaneuvered for the entire game, and then because you've got a really powerful list built, just crush everything at the end, and then you win.
Uh-huh.
And we have actually had a comment here from Fluffy Dread himself in the chat. He says, "It's a lie. He beat me savagely around the head and took my car keys, then forced me to play that scenario."
Conclusive evidence of my pre-stated theory.
Yes, that is the other possibility that may have occurred.
Now, me and my new best Warhammer buddy Kai, right? We had a really interesting and original $1 million scenario.
Was it a Remington original?
Yeah. So you have a few bits of scenery, and there's a watchtower in the middle, right? And if you get a wizard, the top of the watchtower, all right, and he casts a special spell on an 8+ on 2d6, he summons the mighty giant, and the giant fights for your team. So it's a sort of a race for the middle, but with your wizards. And
Sounds like Talisman.
It forces your wizards to kind of get into the fray, and it was a right laugh, I can tell you that. It was brilliant. And had either of us summoned the giant successfully, it definitely would have won us the battle. It was a really fun thing. You know, rather than just plonking on objectives, the objectives actually did something to help you.
Rather than that being a Remington original, I would say that's at least partially ripped off from one of the episodes of The Porkening, where we had a giant that comes to life and randomly assists one of the sides.
Okay, well, I must watch that show more.
Or Vanilla WoW, Old Rec Valley, all the old school WoW nerds will know.
Well, also, yeah, Kai illuminated me on a few rules that you haven't been adhering to well enough.
Well,
Andy.
there are 4 pages, so it's to be expected that you wouldn't know all of them, Mr. Remington.
And he'd read all of the General's Handbook, and he'd read all of my battle tomes as well. So I didn't need to do it. It was brilliant.
Oh, so this is why he's your new wargaming buddy then, isn't it?
Yeah, we could just get on and play and, shout Remington, roll some dice and show off our minis. We had a right laugh. It was brilliant. So he's definitely up for, coming to RemCon. So he's on the guest list among many hundreds. But, just another...
Many hundreds.
Many hundreds. Many hundreds. You're desperate, aren't you, Andy? You just...
Andy Palooza has actually got quite a big waiting list at the moment. So I'm going to start filtering some of those people over to RemCon, I think, because we won't physically fit them all in for Andy Palooza. I mean, you saw when we went to Warhammer World, the space that they freed up for Andy Palooza when you took that picture.
It was so spacious.
That was before they allowed all the guests in, obviously.
They could get all their tumbleweed in instead of just a couple of hedges. They got a whole field of tumbleweed blowing around. But if you sorted out your scenarios for Andy Palooza, are they all going to be one-sided?
Well,
Andy wins scenarios?
They're going to be Andy originals, I think.
Well,
Probably not from the General's Handbook. But on the subject of scenarios being, as you claim, one-sided, Mr. Remington, would you say that that is a symptom of people, or maybe just you, not bringing balanced forces to the table? So that when a particular type of scenario comes up, you're just not equipped to deal with it.
I think I bring pretty fun lists to the table.
Yes, but that wasn't really the question, was
A bit
it?
of everything. Some people like spam just loads of savage archers and everything. It's just boring, isn't it? I like to field the fun stuff. But having said that, I think when your fun stuff gets clobbered, sooner or later, you're going to think, well, if I'm going to play this game, I need to get some more cheesy figures in there, So,
When you're putting your list together, do you think, if the game is going to be focused around moving towards objectives, how dead am I going to be looking at this list? Is that the kind of thing that crosses through your mind? You just think, that squid gobble looks pretty tasty. I think I'll have 4 of those.
do you know what? I was going to choose the squid gobbler, but I couldn't remember the points for it.
I think
So
it's
we
about
didn't-
-50.
Yeah, we didn't choose it in the end. But no, I would, if I'm thinking of a list, I want something that's fast, something that can fly, something that can shoot, some artillery, something that's good in combat, and something that's not too bad in combat and also can move a bit more than just an anvil, So there you go. That's what I look for. Bit of everything. And some magic and a couple of heroes.
Of course, Dreddy as well played a game recently. Which forces featured in that one?
yeah, I played a game. Just quickly before I talk about that, the chat brought up a good point about pre-colored miniatures.
Ooh.
A lot of the games that brought like some of the oldest gamers of our community into the hobby, games like Hero Quest, Battle Masters, Space Crusade, all had pre-colored miniatures. And the color coding helped younger people. Like, I know when I was that age, like I was like 8 or something, and I had green orcs since I was just green, but I could instantly see there's orcs. So color coding, I guess, is a good thing. But yeah, games. My last game I played with my good mate Paul McPaulingson, aka Ruhak in the chat right now. If he has not fallen asleep at this point. He played Dwarfs. And I played Destruction, Mixed Destruction. I brought a quite beefy list of Sour Breath Trogos, some Art Boys. What else was in there? And just Orc Boys and a big War Boss, and I think 2 Orc Shamans.
Did you build that list with some kind of list building strategy in mind, or was that just a random assortment?
I knew that it would be a 2 versus 2. I didn't know who I would be teamed up with because we decided to either roll it on the spot or see who brought which army. So it was pretty much an army blind date, if you want to call it that. So 4 people showed up with an army that they built, who they thought it made sense as like the half of an army. And then they just hoped that the other person brought enough stuff to make good on like the weaknesses of their own army.
Like you throw your general into the middle of the table, then put a blindfold on it, and then pick up a general from the pile, and then whichever one you get, you teamed up with that one.
Yeah, kind of. Well, our opponents in the end, they showed up with 2 Nurgle lists, and we were like, okay, those are obviously meant to be together. Like, you're now united in unholy sickness in the Nurgle ways, and they connected their forces and played against us. And Paul bought dwarfs, and he bought lots of cannons, which was really good. So we gunned them down, and my troggers, they didn't die for forever. I had, I think, a unit of 3, only 3 trolls, just like standard trolls that are too stupid to die on a roll of a 4+. And they held up a great unclean one. The big Chaos Nurgle dude on the big demon thingy, Orgos Demon Spoo, I think. A unit of Plague Bearers and something else for 2 complete turns, and then in turn 3 they died finally, but that was amazing. We didn't win in the end. We played the scenario, I think, take and hold, where there's 2 objectives on the table, one in each deployment zone, and you have to hold the one in the enemy's deployment zone to get more points or something like that. Our army was a bit too slow for that, let's just say. Dwarfs and orcs didn't quite make it there. And we also ran out of time and only played 3 turns. And then in the end, it looked like the Nurgle people were just too beefy to take down. So we just let them have the win.
So on paper, it looks like, well, this list we've got together is going to be the ultimate killing force. And then when it comes to the scenario and you find out you've actually got to move.
It was 2 very slow armies, though. That was the funny part. We just gave them the victory because they just killed more stuff than we killed on their side, because it's Nurgle with the Taliband of Nurgle also in it, which regenerates the wounds and Plague Bearers. So yeah.
Can I just say, I mean, who doesn't love monstrous infantry?
Yes.
That's got to be my favorite. I love Troggoths. They're so good. I've been using 3. I want to get 3 on each flank. They're just brilliant.
So you can send them through realm gates and roll 1s again.
Yeah, I love bringing 6 if I have the points.
Yeah, but they get a 2 up to regenerate D3 wounds, which is pretty awesome. But you'd be surprised at how few times you actually get the opportunity to do that. It's only in your hero phase, and a lot of the time they could be coming off the table through failed bravery checks. They've only got bravery 5, I think.
Yeah. My trolls were always performing really well. Like, I'm just super lucky with the rolls that they're just too stupid to die. They're just staying.
Do you go for a minimum 3, or do you get a bigger unit?
It depends how many points I have. If I just have 1,000 points, then I go for 3. If I have more, then I will bring 6 if I can.
Nice.
Yes, I'm also getting some ogres painted right now to have some more beefy, what are they called, battle line.
Ogres are great. I've never lose with my ogres.
That may have something to do with the fact that you've got a huge monster that just dishes out 6 mortal wounds on a 2+, which is the instant character killer.
I'll never forget the day I destroyed Belagar Ironhammer. It was just beautiful, auto wounding him.
Well, he's probably one of the least useful targets for something like that, because he halves incoming wounds. But even then, it's only going to take a couple of rounds to kill him still.
He's got so many buffing rules, though, that he's got to get. You know what I've been trying out is the Doom Diver, and we had a right laugh using it. I only took 1, and you really should take 2, because 2 gives you D6 wounds, and if you just bring 1, you only get is it D3 or D6 wounds? I think it might. Yeah, it's D3 wounds with the Doom Diver. But if you got 2, you do D6. So, but I was having so much bad luck with it, and I just kept persevering, and in the end, it actually came up really good for me. So I'm going to be taking that figure again.
Unlike the Squid Gobber, which you keep persevering with and persevering, and then it still does nothing.
I just don't get it. The Squid Gobber could be so much fun, I think part of it is because they took away the template damage, didn't they, from Age of Sigmar? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
There are very few weapons that hit everything within a certain range. There's not much that does that.
Yeah. Do you miss that?
Do I miss templates? No, because they were annoying having to count how many models were covered.
it's annoying. It's also people are never sure. Oh, is this guy still in? Did you really put it there? It's like I rather roll 2d6 and see how many models in a unit are hits. It's way better.
Yeah. It was
Way
fun when
quicker.
wizards blow themselves up, though, wasn't it?
Yes, when you had the little wizard in the bunker and he blows up and takes half of the unit with him as well. That was always funny.
It happened often to my orc shamans.
Yeah, I think Age of Sigmar will develop its magic. I think it needs to develop its magic because I do miss having lots more spells to choose from. It brings in so much more tactical nous into a game when the wizard can do not just a basic attack and offensive spell, and then one other. That's all you've got now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be cool to get a spell deck or something at some point.
Yeah.
Now, that's something that happened in the chat a minute ago, that we actually had one of those wonderful spammers, and the topic of the conversation was a bit weird, but if they'd come in earlier in the night when we were talking about Wargaming pickup lines, then we wouldn't have even noticed, and they would have slipped under the radar.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
sadly,
I only read the last, and then
yeah, they came in way too late, so the ban hammer was dropped straight on them.
How come I'm not allowed to edit the comments?
That sounds dangerous.
I
with
like
your,
reading
with your
what the
grasp of
spammers say.
technology.
I want to read what the spammers say, but I always get there too late.
I think you would accidentally kick people out that you weren't meaning to kick out.
Oh.
or ban yourself from chat.
I could definitely see that. Right.
Other things that we have learned so in our career of playing Age of Sigmar to this point, like what are the little hints and tips that we could give people at this point?
I would say the main ones are, first of all, take a force that can accomplish things, whatever the scenario you're going to come up in. And also, throughout the game, always think about the double turn.
Yes.
If you may get the double turn and you know your opponent isn't about to get a double turn, then push forward. If there's potential for the enemy getting 2 turns in a row, then be more conservative, unless you're going to go in and then you really have to go all in and crush something in one go and not give it a chance to fight back twice in a row against you. Those are the main things I would say, because that's really the main focus of Age of Sigmar, isn't it? Those double turns, when they come up, they just completely change everything.
Yeah, they can mess you up.
What I would say is get an army that reflects your personality as best as possible. Now, Andy, you're very cautious. You know, you're kind of a bit dry. You're always wearing your armor, so to speak, I feel, and that reflects in your armies. I was thinking about this, and nearly all of your armies have high saving throws. And all of
when you say nearly all, do you mean
nearly all, apart from the
2
undead?
of the 3?
Yeah. All right. So the majority.
Yeah, I don't like playing undead in Age of Sigmar anyway. It's too many models to push around.
Okay, so both of your armies are based on high saving throws. You've got dwarves, right, and you've got the Sigmarites. And I was thinking about the armies I play, and they don't really have much of a saving throw.
You're more of a free spirit skipping through the meadow, aren't you?
Yes, but also I like the heroic aspect. I like being the underdog and having to roll a 5 or 6 to save, because it's just so much more. You get so much more joy out of making that saving throw. And conversely, if you have 3 up armor saves and you roll a 1 and 2, you really do feel. You really feel like I can't think of the word right now, but you feel like a right loser, I guess. It's a real downer feeling, isn't it? Whereas I prefer to get the heroic thing done rather than that. Oh.
Can you imagine if you had 2 up armor saves on all your troops? They'd just drop like flies, wouldn't they?
There is that as well. Kai thought I was just joking around with my dice rolling until he actually saw me do it. I rolled so many 1s and 2s, but I don't know. It kind of balanced out in the end. As long as you can get to 6 turns, I think Lady Luck is fairly balanced.
Dino Time Edition says, I think the nudity of Rem's bone splitters do reflect the owner pretty well.
So what about you, Dreddy? How do you think your orcs reflect you and your personality?
Let's see. I mean, I play different armies. I have a mixed chaos army of just complete nurgle, so really gross and filthy. very resilient and slow, which
Mm.
might reflect like me in real life because I take a long time. Like I plan everything and then I do it eventually. So it's like
And didn't you live in the woods, like rolling around in filth for like a year?
yeah, that also. Then I play Destruction, which is also completely mixed. Pretty much everything Destruction is in my army. Or is there any Destruction that's not in my army at this point? I have goblins. I have night goblins. I have orcs. I have also bone splitters, kind of. I have ogres. I have trolls. I have a giant. So
I love Destruction. They're
they're
the one
fun.
army that's got a little bit of comedy about them. But
Yes.
don't you think Skaven should be Destruction?
Skaven, I mean, they have the Horned Rats, which is kind of a chaosy god type being. They could have ended up at this Destruction, I guess, but
Could have, because they're a bit comedy as
Yeah.
well. I tell you what, I used to hate Skaven, but having played against them, I do think they're quite funny now.
yeah. I also play Skaven, by the way.
Yeah, they're a good laugh. But
Yeah.
looking at his models, so I hadn't really played against a Skaven army properly, or seen the models close up.
They're nuts.
There's some terrific models, but some of them are very small to get the detail in. And looking at the Night Goblins, they're really easy to paint, aren't they?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
you can get a load of them done.
in my life, I have painted, at this point, over 200 standard Night Goblins from the Skull Pass box. And I sold half of them when I sold my old army, and then I painted them again, like 100 or something. So, easy to paint, quick to paint.
Yeah, basically, I mean, at the minute, any army that I'm playing, any faction that I'm playing with on Total Warhammer, I kind of want to collect them. I've been playing Bretonia and got right into that on the Total Warhammer.
Yeah,
but
that's what video games will do to you. They will inspire you, and because you see the stuff moving around and hear the voices and hear their music, and it's like, and it's happening.
What I don't understand really is that Bretonian factions just come out for Total Warhammer. It's totally great fun to play. Why have Games Workshop? Why aren't they selling that stuff?
They hate them.
They could be making a killing right now.
Yeah, I guess
it's just a short-term thing, but things like the Grail Relic, the Grail Knights, Questing Knights, that's superb figures, and I would buy them right now because I'm bang into them. But you can't get them.
Yeah, it's sad.
As interesting as this conversation is, I'm going to have to stop you there because something has just popped up. I was reliably informed that there is some potential news, and I think you're going to like it. So,
my.
Look at that.
Hold on.
I don't see anything.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, there we go. It's a cogwheel.
It's a cog with a question mark in it.
New
Big
Mechanicus
news coming
units,
this week.
Adeptus Mechanicus, new codex.
This is in the Age of Sigmar section.
Adeptus Mechanicus coming to Age of Sigmar.
Surely that is not going to be an elf riding on a wheel into battle.
Do you know what? It's probably a Sigmarine tank. Because that's the only thing they're missing right now, isn't it?
You know what? It's got to be the old steamhead Duardin steaming into battle. It has to be.
Also old cockhead elves.
It could be another Chaos Dreadhold, looking at from above. Couldn't it?
Chaos Cockhold.
Yeah.
Let's have everyone's theories in the chat right now. What could this be other than Duardin? And if anyone comes up with anything remotely believable, then I will bow down to your superior knowledge. But at the moment, I'm going to take this as confirmation that Duardin are imminent within the next week.
Yeah.
Are we excited?
That's cool. My wallet is not. I will see. I still have enough stuff to paint as it is. Also because Vermintide made me buy a Skaven starter box, a Pestilence Skaven starter box at the beginning of this year, so I still have to finish that. Yeah.
I think, Andy, your hopes are going to be crushed. It's more Stormcast, I'm afraid.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's officially confirmed the Duardin are here.
The Duardin are here.
Why do you think that?
Because
Maybe
it's a cog.
Skaven. Maybe it's like Skaven with more like mechanical stuff, and they have like this thing just with more like cogwheels on it. And that's
mental, isn't it? What a brilliant figure that is.
It is. I also converted the plague priest to go like on top of the thing.
Jones Yarny says there's another picture too, which I'm looking for right now. Trying to do on-the-spot journalism while live on the air. So if anyone has that...
Well,
Yes.
Andy, why are you doing that? Let me ask you something, all right? Just to annoy you while you're multitasking.
Yes.
What would you like to see with the Steam head Duardin? What kind of units would you like to see?
Well, I don't want them to just be 100% robots. I would like them to have retained some kind of dwarfliness, even if it's just little dwarf heads poking out of robots.
So hold on, who mentioned robots? Is that what a Steam head is?
Well, it could be. They could be like ogre-sized, big, walking, like robotic golems, couldn't they?
Yeah.
But you see, wasn't that a Chaos Dwarf thing? Because the Chaos Dwarf wizards, as they become more twisted in chaos, their legs started to turn to stone, starting from the feet upwards. And I can't remember his name, but the most famous Chaos Dwarf mage, he can't walk anymore. So he developed this robot contraption, basically fake legs that can like jump around and run around. So are you saying Steamhead Duardin are going to be like little dwarves inside, like Master Blaster from Mad Max 2? Is that what you're saying?
It might, who knows? I mean, there is an alternative manufacturer that actually created a whole like Steam dwarf robot army, which I have a few models of. Oh, what's the name? They also make the pirate ogres.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know that company. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a few of them. They're really cool. Not the ogres, but the dwarves. Ogres are cool too. But...
You know what? I've changed my mind again. I'm now horribly disappointed and thinking that it's nothing to do with Duardin whatsoever. Because the next image that has just popped up, let's have a look at it here. There we go. Look at that. The Dominion of Chaos is ending. Order returns to the mortal realms, and it is high time we did too. We sail now for riches and glory because we are elf pirates.
What? Maybe both will be released in a box with pirates and dwarfs against each other.
Well, everyone knows that dwarves aren't the biggest fans of boats.
No, it's going to be Stormcast because, as you can clearly see, there's storms in the sky, and the Stormcast are now going to have golden boats.
Seabound Stormcast.
Yes.
The seafaring Stormcast Eternals.
The Seacast Eternals.
They could be riding like Stormcast scurvy sea dogs.
Yeah.
Although Alexander in the chat just does say dwarf pirates, which I would be down with.
Oh God, who wouldn't be down with dwarf pirates? They're brilliant.
That would be interesting. I can't GWC making that step, but who knows?
It totally makes sense. They're obsessed with gold and treasure and hoarding.
It does make sense. Yeah.
Stronghold TV says dwarf skyships. Now, if that's what they mean by set sail, we have like dwarf zeppelins, then I will take that.
That could be. That could be.
Okay, so let's go with that. Steam Head Duardin / Zeppelins. What units would you like to see? Apart from obviously Zeppelins.
Well, you'd have like little Duardin guys with not exactly jetpacks, but they could have like helicopter backpacks that they could fly around with.
What would they be doing? Would they be dropping bombs? It sounds like they
could have some of them that throw bombs, some of them that just swoop down there and just beat your head in with a hammer.
Okay, so you've got flying units. What else would you like to see?
Other than flying, you mean in terms of ground forces, I would imagine you'd have like some kind of tunneling apparatus.
Like dwarf miners.
Like a new steam-powered twist on miners. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. So do you
like cavalry, but they'd be riding like little drills.
Do you remember Rogue Trooper? Were you into 2000 AD Rogue Trooper? No,
it rings a bell, yeah.
They used to tunnel under, and they would drill up into the surface, and then all the warriors would come out. These sort of torpedo-like underground things. No, I feel old now.
By the way, do you think it's a coincidence that these news were just released right now during the airtime of the Andy and Ram show? Maybe there's someone in the audience just sitting there like, I will just post this now.
Yeah, they know this is the one way to reach the highest live audience in the wargaming industry at any given time.
It's
So
true.
it wouldn't surprise me if they were leaking these things intentionally during the show. This is actually the most live breaking news we've ever had in one episode, I think.
It's true.
So I'm going to
I
have to change the
think-
title of this episode afterwards, definitely.
I also think they wouldn't have monstrous infantry per se, but they'd have dwarves inside some kind of monster-sized contraption.
Dwarves
Yes.
inside the robot dwarves, like the Space Marines did, with the Space Marines inside of Space Marines.
Or
Yeah,
thinking
Red-
like the
Dreadnought.
loading suit from Aliens.
Yeah.
that kind of thing, but steam powered with a dwarf in it.
More
Yes.
cogs, and it would have like a big fisty thing that could pump out like that.
Of course it would.
Like that.
Yes.
It has two different actions.
Pump action and thrust action.
Oh god.
What more do you need?
As long as it's good oil, it's okay.
Okay, so there you go. What about your standard steam dwarf Duardin unit? What would it be?
I think Iron Drakes can stay as they are.
Okay.
And because it's a dual kit, that would mean that Iron Breakers would have to stay as they are. And if the regular ground forces are going to look like that, I think they would fit in with the big kind of robotic stuff. Because when those dwarves came out and they were in there among all the old world stuff, people were saying that they don't fit in and they look a bit too new and bulky. So I think they could fit in quite nicely. All the most recent batch of dwarf releases, I think they would fit in very well with big Zeppelins.
So you've got squig hoppers, haven't you? Right. What if you had some kind of like, if I was a dwarf like engineer and I was in the guild, I'd come up with $1 million, €1 million gold idea. You know what I'd have? I'd have dwarves attached to giant springs, and they could sort of pogo around, and they'd be like able to evade combats really easy. But you'd have like random movements, and they'd just sort of squish things.
So what you really want to do is arm the dwarves with power-ups from 80s arcade games.
I want to see like dwarven suicide bomber robots that are just carrying like a giant bomb, and they're just robots, and they just run into the enemy lines and they just explode.
I don't know that. I think they'd be a bit more clever than that.
You could have like drone bombs that fly and then explode, self-guiding bombs.
Yeah, I mean, there could be like demolition robots for tunneling, and them exploding is just like a mishap or something if they also explode with their bombs.
Maybe they explode, but they come in like easy to reassemble pieces.
Yes. They would need to carry the bomb like the old Batman, though, in the Batman movie, where he runs around with the bomb, but he can't get rid of it. Like that kind of bomb.
I would buy one of those.
Yes.
Well, you know, there was a model that they stopped producing. It was, do you remember? It was the Goblin Hewer. The Goblin Hewer, and it was, can't remember the guy's name. It's from Gotrek and Felix.
It was like Malachi Malison or something.
Yeah, Malachi Mackison or something like that. That could be definitely Steamhead, couldn't it? It's just like a, how do you explain it? It's like it throws axes, basically. Throws axes out.
It never seemed very efficient to me, though. It looked like you have to put a lot of engineering into something to throw an axe rather than just a smooth projectile.
Yeah. It's some dwarves don't like to run, do they? They don't like to use their legs so much. So to get large distances, they'd need something with long legs or something on wheels or
Stilts.
A rollerball. What about that?
Or just really long sticks to poke the enemy, so I don't have to go to them.
That sounds like more of a chaos dwarfy thing, doesn't it?
Well, how about just give everyone a really long-range weapon, so I can just deploy right on the board edge and just kill all of Remington's troops inside 2 turns.
And then plus you get like a 3-up save.
Yeah, 3-up save when you get there.
You'd be in nerd heaven, wouldn't you?
And if they stand still, they get a 2-up save as well.
And then re-rolling, and then they get +1 save if I do a mortal wound. Some kind of Andy special rule.
I could live with that. Well, I have a feeling that next show is going to be just packed with Steamhead Duardin-y goodness, or elf pirates if we're really unfortunate. So we can look forward to that. So for now, before it gets too late, shall we dive back into the audience community pictures here?
Oh yeah, we kind of started those, and then we got the
Yeah, we started them in the pre-Remington era. And then we've got what the hell is that to do as well. So let's go through these quickly. This is from Andre or Andrai. And of course, Ogres right here. What do we think of them? We've got 2 Ogre fanatics right here on the show.
Very solid. Very solid.
It's wicked, man. Love them.
It actually looks like they're walking on Christmas cake.
To a bit.
Very, very. It looks like you could just take a bite out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like German Stollen cakes. Did I say that right?
Stollen, yeah. It looks like Stollen.
Stollen.
When I look at it, like, I always have the problem in my head when I want to apply blood to a model. Like, let's say I would paint these and I would put blood on the tusks, and then I would think in my mind, if that thing like mauls something with its tusk, the blood would go everywhere. So I would put it on its face, and then I would be like, oh, it would shake at some point. So I would also put it on the ogre, and then the whole model is red. That's why I normally don't use blood effects like much, because I my mind just goes crazy. I never know where to like realistically put it all. So I guess it's simplistic enough. Like, it's kind of cartoony, so it works. Like, ogres are quite cartoony models in their own.
They look like they've just run towards something, impaled it on their tusks, and then just realised they can't actually get it to their mouth from there, so they've just dropped it on the floor.
Yeah, maybe they're also self-cleaning. With that white fur, I guess they groom a lot. They just can't groom their tusks, maybe.
Yeah, what parts of their body could even reach to clean the tusks? I don't know. Next, this is a work in progress from Sam Jones, who is, of course, one of the legendary, highly skilled painters.
That is a work in progress.
Yes.
Holy
So
shit.
this isn't even finished yet. And for me, this would be like beyond finished. The only thing I can see that isn't finished possibly is the white cloak here, because there's some little decorative pieces on there that haven't been picked out yet. But just the swirliness and the armor alone are 8 different levels of tasty, if you ask me.
Yeah, maybe the stuff that comes out of a staff is like not maybe highlighted to the end or something, but it just looks finished to me. It just was finished.
If that was mine, it would have been finished weeks ago. Well, it wouldn't, but it wouldn't be looking like that. It'd still be undercoated if it was me.
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking forward to see what that looks like when it's finished. This is from Barry, and
Like it.
it's a rat, it's brown, it's slimy, and he's on a giant bell. Thoughts?
Top
I just-
paint job that. I
Yeah.
really like this one.
I like the whole desaturated color scheme. It makes things look more realistic if you do that. It's really neat. The only thing that when I saw this on the group, the only tiny critique that I would have in my mind is that the bell, it's kind of just sitting on the ground. Like, in my mind, it should have sunk a little bit, like into the mud under it. Like,
I
I would
think-
have cut it and then like put it down so it looks sunk in. Or
I think
something.
there's a little bit of liquid running down the bell into a puddle at the bottom, and then at the back you have like a little tiny rat relieving itself into the top of the bell.
Yeah.
I think that would be quite funny.
Yeah, but it's a very solid paint job.
Oh, Retropia TV is here. Finally able
Retropia
to watch
TV.
live.
On his wrong account again.
Yep. Okay, next. This is, of course, Amy Snuggs, veteran of the Andean Rem show, with the Knight of Zeros.
Yeah,
And
there's
very, very tasty.
not much to say, apart from that it looks great. And like, the blood effect she uses is super subtle. You have to actually look to see that it's there. It's so subtle, but it works. It's just like a spray, a light spray. Like, the blade just went straight through something so easily that the blood barely had time to like attach to the blade before the blade went through whatever he cut the head off.
The battle damage is similarly subtle as well. When you first look at the miniature, your eye is never drawn to the blood or the battle damage, is it? That's just... That's like, it's when you bite into the cake and you find like there's an extra layer of chocolate in the middle that you weren't expecting.
Yes.
That's what it's like when you look at these miniatures, because you first of all you think, oh my god, that's a nice lantern, and look at the wings, they're a bit crazy, and the armor's really nice, and then, oh, actually it's all scratched up and battle damaged. But
Yes.
when you just cast your eye across it, your mind takes in that it's a beaten up Stormcast model, but you don't understand why until you actually look closely at the individual pieces of it. I think that's the best way I would describe it.
Very much, yeah.
Next, this is
Was it in
from
White Dwarf already? If not,
This is
it's really
from Michael, which is, of course, an army of humans, the free people, I would assume.
yes.
So there are more pictures of this on the Andy and Rome Show Facebook group as well if you want to see close-ups of all this, but we don't have time to look at everything right now.
Yes.
And he's left his window open as well, so if you want to steal this army, now is a
Yeah.
good time to just reach in. You could probably grab that cannon at least before he notices.
I think he's actually Powder fan from the old the 40K Overlords podcast that I used to listen to for many years before it kind of stopped, I think. I'm not sure if it still exists, but it was a very good podcast. Loved it.
Next, this is from Russ. This is, of course, what is the name of this guy? He's some Bloodbound. Who's this one?
Slaughter Priest? Is it?
I think it is, yes. One of the... There's two different Slaughter Priests, isn't there?
Bloody sort of Slaughter Priest.
Slaughtery and Slaughteroo.
Anyway.
Blood Skull Slaughter Priest.
Plenty of shading going on, and I can see some highlighting as well on the red armor plates.
Yes.
So that's nice.
That's a good solid paint job.
It says, and the basing overhanging the edge there, how do we feel about that? Do you think that area around the edge should be completely devoid of all decoration?
No, I like that.
Yeah, he has it on all his models. If it would just be like one model having that, it would look out of place. But I think all of his models have it.
That's all right then.
Chaos is spreading. Yeah.
Next, speaking of chaos, this is from Sean, and I think we saw a work in progress of these possibly before, but I think this one is finished now, so you can see the glowiness on all of these.
The extreme hotspot glow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wicked. I'd love to know how to do that. I love that effect.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to give Remington any red hot glow tips, then feel free.
I wouldn't do the base and the weapons with the same effect though, because I think it kind of takes it away from the weapons a little bit. I don't know.
You think less is more?
Yes, less is more.
Yeah.
But it does look great. Does look
Yeah,
nice.
the weapons would stick out more if the base was just like grey or black or something, but
This is
very nerdy.
Skaven Haven. And there's a lot of rust going on this
Yes.
weapon here.
Maximum converted.
I mean, look at all this. There's just so much going on. Where do you even start on this thing?
I wouldn't go near that model, and if I touched it, I'd wash my hands afterwards.
I'm sure you've touched far worse things in your time, Mr. Remington.
Yeah.
So look at all the just gaping wounds all over the place. Very rarely do you see a model that looks so infected. Often you see Nurgle things and you see that they're just like green. You think, hey, that's disgusting, but it's also quite cartoony. This, it's not cartoony at all. It just looks like it smells really bad and it probably hurts.
Yes.
Just
It's
a little
very
subtle
organic
redness.
kind of Nurgle. Like you have the kind of like organic Nurgle with the crazy mutations, which some people like, and then just dirty Nurgle that isn't as mutated. Not often you see stuff in between. But I like this. I like over-the-top Nurgle mutation models a lot because it's also how I restarted into the hobby.
Next, now this is Amy Snuggs again. So this is, of course, the wonderful Night Venator with the bird.
A nice pigeon, a nice fire pigeon.
Is Amy a secret Games Workshop painter?
Not as far as we know.
Because
It's a secret agent.
They look just as good as what the Games Workshop do, don't they? But maybe even slightly better.
The one thing I would say for this model as well, in particular, this is the one model in the Stormcast army that's difficult to add colour variation to outside of the bird. Just this guy on his own, because he doesn't really have too many visible armour plates, because his shoulder pad's like facing that way. So from the front, all you can see is gold usually on this guy. So to make him look like he's got a little bit of colour variation in him is actually fairly difficult. So I think she's done a good job here, adding little subtle different colours around the place.
Yeah.
And then the bird being so colourful as well makes up for it.
I like the scratches. I want to know how to do that. Do you?
Yes, they are great.
Do you do it with your fingernails?
I would think not, although that could be a Remington $1 million idea.
Yeah, and it's free as well.
The Remington paint scratcher.
All you need is to grow your fingernails. How about that?
Do you think it's a curse to be able to paint that well? I mean, she's like featured in White Dwarf. She has all these amazingly painted models. What if she just wants to paint like a crappy quick model just to get it on the table ever? You can never do that. People will just judge her.
I think she's good now because she's got like I think 3 or maybe even 4 armies already done.
Yeah, she has
So
a lot of stuff done. It's
The
crazy.
initial hard work's done, but I think her photography skills are really good as well. The way she presents them,
It's true.
is as good as the painting.
So
Retribute
smart.
TV says, I really miss being able to catch the show live, but I watch every episode when I get home and keep fueling the madness with my fat Patreon cash.
That's good.
What do you mean Patreon cash? I thought we finished that.
We finished the Andy and Rem Battle Report Patreon because you decided you didn't want to do it anymore. So now it's just the Andy 2D6 channel.
It's a battle match.
I wasn't advised about this. It says Andy and Rem.
It
the
did.
title of the show.
That's the title of this show, which is really just a tiny part of the overall package.
Warhammer YouTubers Award. It's all about Andy now, isn't it?
And rightly so.
Andy's battle reports, Andy's channel. Interesting.
Next up, this is from Natasha, and part of this wonderful Seraphon army that we've seen come along over the months. This is what I would describe as the pizza lizard, because it looks nice and melted cheese-like, doesn't it, with a bit of burnt cheese on top.
Yeah, it does. Very
Very,
great.
very nice. Now, I saw, Dreddy, you were challenging this particular army to a battle. When's that going to happen?
We will see when she has time, when it works out, maybe when it's like the weather is a little bit better. She used to play at my place several times, and then she had like study to do and like write master's crazy degrees with, I don't know, and she didn't have time anymore. But yeah, we will see when it happens. I will show to at least take pictures and do like a picture battle report or something when we do it. And I have the lizards on my table running wild.
They are very, very tasty, and the basing, as usual, very, very fancy.
Yes, very luscious.
Next, this is from Lee, and this is...
Pink Griffin!
Yes, it is a pink griffin. I hadn't really looked at what this was before grabbing
Looks
it.
like a metal song, Pink Griffin.
Yeah, it could be a band, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Pink Griffin, yeah. What sort of music?
Like power metal.
Power, yeah. Okay.
Like where they wear like leggings and stuff, the old power metal kind.
Ah, right. It's soft rock.
Yes.
Soft
Is
rock.
it soft rock?
We call it soft rock.
Okay.
If it's heavy rock, then it's usually everyone's wearing black
I
and
see.
they're growing their hair long and a bit sweaty. Power rock is more like Japanese pop.
I see. In Germany, we just call it power metal. I don't know. But yeah, this griffin should be on the cover of one of those bands, being
It's-
a pink griffin.
It's a nice contrast as well, because the base is just really down to earth and realistic looking, and then you see this just ridiculous pink feather nonsense going on top of it, and it's a really nice contrast, I think.
Pink griffin! I love it. I love it so much.
I wouldn't be too happy if that was that griffin though, because its rider is wearing its feathers.
That's
So
true.
I think the feathers should probably be a different colour.
Maybe those
Right.
feathers just fell out naturally.
Well, if the rider wants to remain on that hippogriff, or whatever it is, then I think he should, maybe paint his helmet feathers.
Yeah. Maybe the griffin gave him the feathers out of respect for the bonds that they have or something.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of griffs, we've got some griff hounds here from David, and that one obviously hasn't been based yet. But what do we think here?
This is why
Nice feather work.
You shouldn't let your pets indoors because you can see the mess they make.
Yeah, look at those footprints there.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good.
Yes. They're like lions, like the classic savannah lion mixed with a bald eagle. Is it a bald eagle? The classic American eagle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of eagle that's usually like semi-transparent in front of an American flag as it waves in the breeze.
Yes. On like trucker hats.
Yes, so I'm going to stop the screen share for a minute because the next thing we've got to do is what the hell is that? So now, remember I said I was going to provide the intro song for what the hell is that? And after what the hell is that, that's going to be pretty much the end of the show, I think, because it's getting pretty late.
It's
So
not so late.
Do cover your ears while Andy sings this?
While I'm introducing this segment, I would advise Mr. Remington to find his instrument ready for the outro song, which won't be too far away after this. So, of course, what the hell is that? I've zoomed in on a body part of a particular miniature currently available in the Age of Sigmar range. This week it is somebody's ear. You tell me which model it's from, and you will be entered into the next prize draw we do. And I'm reliably informed that the winner of the previous prize, which was a copy of Cheeks, and that was Mr. Fluffy Dread, is very, very pleased with that prize. So only the best prizes on the Andy and Rem show. So here we go. I'm going to show you what it is, and then I'm going to give you the ultimate rendition of the theme song. What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington knew.
Oh my god.
Okay, I can put my headset back on. There we go.
Christ, I've just taken D6 wounds.
D6 mortal wounds. Okay, come on, everybody. Whose ear is that?
This is clearly I don't know, some pointy ear. I bet you did something tricky and it's like a bat or something and not an elf.
We've had some guesses, but I'm going to remind people as well that I want to know the specific model that this is taken from. Because there are a few guesses for particular animals, and if you just guess the animal and not the model it's from,
I think I
that
know what
won't
it
be
is.
enough. You have to name the exact model.
I think I know what it is. So
Okay, let's have a look. So the guesses we've had. Retropia TV says Rem's face, which I'm going to assume was his guess. So no, it's not Rem's face, unfortunately. You don't win. Skeleton Flower says Bat Swarm and Fellbat. No, it's not. And we do actually have a winner. The winner is Raphael Marge, because it is from the Auric War Chariot. It is the ear from the boar on the chariot.
I have 2 more of those unpainted somewhere in a box. Like, yeah, I know those ears.
A couple of people guessed that it was a boar, but they didn't name the chariot as the model.
Yeah, the old school piggy. Old school piggy.
Old school indeed. So Raphael Marge goes onto the prize draw list. And in fact, I'll put his name in there right now. I think it was Raphael Marge and Dino Titan Edition that went on last time. So
congratulations.
Just want to swing the conversation quickly back to Bretonia. And if anyone's got any Bretonian stuff they might want to give me, you know, I don't ask for much. I don't ask for freebies.
Well, you do. You just don't get any.
I don't ask for Patreon money or anything like that. So if anyone's got any Bretonians I don't want, especially Grey Relinques.
If anyone's got any of these incredibly valuable out-of-production miniatures, he'll just have them. Take them off your hands generously.
No, we could maybe work something out with some swapsies, or
You could appear in one of his music videos in the background.
maybe you can appear in one of my music videos. How about that?
How would your bandmates feel about you offering positions on music videos out for rare Bretonians?
I don't know. I'd have to just pretend they're my new best friends, and just won't mention the Warhammer thing.
Well, it's probably better than like turning up with a bus full of women that you offered like dancing roles in your music videos too, isn't it?
Well, look,
It'll make a bit of a difference.
Yes, if you are a sexy-looking woman, or you can dress up in kind of, dress up as a film-friendly looking person, then turn up. And bring the Bretonians, most importantly.
You only get the backstage pass if you bring the Bretonians. There's under strict instructions, the security are not to let anyone into the VIP area without at least a box of Grail Knights.
Right, let me just check the chat, and no one's said anything. Okay. It's like it's not going to happen. Oh, hold on. It's coming in. Coming in. I have 20 metal
Utopia.
great swords kicking around collecting dust.
Oh, see, he's in Canada. That will be cheap shipping to send all those old metal models to the
Let's trope your TV. He's my proper buddy. Not like
Oh, Skeleton Flower says he has a dress somewhere. So if Skeleton Flower can rustle up a few Bretonians, I think we're going to have someone for your next video there.
just one Bretonian knight. I'd just like to know what it's like to paint one Bretonian knight and one Greywill. I'll settle for that, all right? And I will sing a song for you. How about that?
He doesn't ask for much, folks. Well, I think it's time to wrap this one up. So we did get slightly off topic after we were ambushed by breaking news released by GW mid-show in a clear marketing ploy on their part.
It's true.
So I don't think we need to apologise for the show being hijacked by those breaking pieces of news that we had to bring you on the front lines, as it were. So, of course, thanks to our wonderful audience for joining us. Thanks to Dreddy and Mr. Remington for turning up halfway into the show. Thanks to Crabbington for filling in at the start and giving us that live phone link-up with Remington as he staggered down the street drunkenly, chasing after cyclists. And, of course, everyone, don't forget to check out all the numerous links in the video description, including the Facebook groups, such as the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, which you should be in, and posting pictures of your finished Age of Sigmar miniatures so that they can be featured on this very show and you can become almost as famous as we are. Not quite, though. And it looks like Mr. Remington has his instrument in hand. So what I'm going to do is get this wonderful logo screen shared. I assume that Crabbington Steel is available to do a little bit of dancing as well for the outro.
Crabbington is always ready.
So, Mr. Remington, would you like to play something nice and soothing on the guitar to maybe ease everyone into relaxation mode as they settle down for the night?
All right, everyone. Good night. Have a good one. Whatever it is you're going to do. Ever seen a blind man crossing the road, trying to make it to the other side? Ever seen a young girl growing old, trying to make herself Remington's bride? So what becomes of you, my love, when they finally stripped you of the handbags and the glad rags that old Andy had to sweat to buy you? Fat chance he'll buy you anything. He'll take it off, you know.